like me. We've got to understand where our strength lies. I can't go in and write stuff that I'm not good at or particularly competent to do. And I realized and I think Sashi made the very important point, Usha did too, that if you don't read, I don't think you can write very well. So I start, it's my view, but therefore I look back and say, what are the kinds of books I enjoy? What is it that I like to do? And in the context of daily life also, I enjoy going and teasing people, creating some adventure when nothing existed. So I think it's basically what sort of a person you are as a human being. I think your character will determine the kind of book you write, in a way. So I think I early on decided that that's adventure, thriller, crime, detective, that sort of stuff appealed to me, and that led me naturally into the thriller and the adventure genre as a writer. So no, I'm very happy to be called popular.
And this goes to Usha, you. Is it right to slot writing as literary and popular? And what if people out here want to go and write a book, what should they aspire for? Should they aspire for writing in the literary genre, or should they write something which is more popular, more easy to read? More like Arun Mind book, or should they write something like yours and Shashi's books?
See, slotting in the categorization is after the fact. You have to write what interests you, and the kind of writing that you are ready to do, that you have prepared and prepared for, and that you are capable of doing. That is something that every writer is almost condemned to do. As Shashi said, we write because we cannot help it. So you will write the way you are inclined to. But even within that, see, another question that often comes up is, who do you write for? Now basically, a writer writes for himself or herself, but then you don't exist in a vacuum. You live in society. So maybe it is the social problems of the day, or the nagging political questions, or say the feminist questions. Those are
too many bad words. So you cannot obviously, as a thriller writer, please everybody. So I think you have therefore, you write beyond a point. I am not able to take the bedroom scenes and all beyond a point. So there is a limitation. But that said, you also have to appeal to so there's got to be pace, plot, characterization, and authentic background, like a Frederick Poss. So I think it's kind of a mix.
So what you're saying is that there are no 50 shades coming from your stable yet.
I'm trying, but I'm finding it hard. So Ravi, I'm going to put that question to you.
Who do I write for? I write for an audience. Okay, and it's quite a controversial thing to say. A lot of people here write for themselves. Okay. You start off writing for yourself. When you write your first book, you end up writing for yourself. When you write your first book, you write from within. You want to tell a story. Okay. So you actually go out and tell that story to the world. Your success otherwise determines your way ahead at times. And If God Was a Banker was a very successful book. Though it was industry agnostic, but the book was set in the banking industry. And hence all my next books, Devil in Prince, Incredible Banker, even the latest, The Bankster, is set in the banking and the financial services industry. Though I take pains to make sure that I write something, if I use banking jargon, I explain it, make sure that even the normal reader can follow it. But today when people pick up a Ravi Subramanian, they expect a certain amount of corporate politics, certain amount of banking and financial services in it. So now, I think I would say that I write for the audience and churn out stories which I think people will like reading. Because end of the day, all of us want people to read our books, right? We don't write in isolation. We are not away from the industry. It's something which is out there in the market for people to read and for people to enjoy. It's an entertainment. Today, a Salman Khan does a 200 crore movie, he does it not for himself, he does it for the audience. Chetan Bhagat writes, he writes for the audience. Today, Amish Tripathi writes mythology, he writes for the audience. Similarly, I think when you write for the audience, but somewhere the audience is also something which you've actually created by writing your own inner feelings. So I think it overlaps, But if you force me into an answer, yeah, I write for an audience.
So, Ravi, I want to again ask you, because you're obviously extremely successful in the marketplace in terms of book sales, and you've been really there. And I think when I go to bookstores, you're very prominently visible. So how much, in your opinion, one is obviously the audience has to like the book. Any reader, you've got to have an audience that vibes with you. What about all the other elements that come in, promotion aspects, marketing? They all become important today, as you said. So many books in the marketplace. So do we as writers, should we look consciously more outward, become more business oriented? What's
okay? Just one last part in the previous question. My second book, okay, was a manuscript which was written about 3 generations of South Indians. Okay, nothing to do with banking. I've still not got it published. Simply because the publishing also, you've created a certain impression in the market, you've taken a certain positioning. You would like to live by it, and that's honest fact. The right or wrong, I'm not even getting into it. But the point is, we are also performers. So we are worried that if I bring that out, will the audience receive it? Okay, so that's why I said you take right for the audience. The second question of yours, which is, should we go out and how do we promote our books? I think today what's happening is a lot of good books out there just don't get sold because there's nobody standing up and selling them. And authors by nature, okay, I'm sad to say, are bad marketeers. They feel a sense of shame in standing up and saying, hey dude, buy my book. If you look at the new generation authors that are coming up, they are hard-nosed, they are completely thick-skinned marketeers. Every single tweet of theirs, every single action of theirs is actually tuned towards saying, okay, buy my book. Today, Arun, I'm sure, all of us are here. The fact is, today 400 more people know who Ravi Subramanian is, who Arun Raman is, and Shashi Ji anyway is known by everybody knows, and who Usha is in terms of books.
Would you say that your management training is an institute
Okay, I'll answer this question and after that we'll actually go through the panel and then come back to the audience round of questions. Is that okay? Okay. It's a quite a strange phenomenon that last year when Crossword announced a shortlist for Popular Choice Awards, you had 10 books shortlisted. Out of those 10 books, 7 were MBAs. Authors of 7 of them were MBAs. Author of 6 of them were from IIMs. Okay. Now, so the coincidence is too stark.
He's asking, I am Bangalore.
Management training. So to a certain extent, yes, I think management training, one, makes you aspire for more. Management training helps you think out of the box. Management training helps you think differently from the rest, and helps you try and do things which are different, and hence people notice it. And people notice it, they talk about you. When they talk about you, they buy your books. So it's a bit of a vicious circle. So the short answer is yes, it helps.
I just have to add to this. Ravi, you're making the point that you're a popular writer, you write for an audience, and you have been helped by your management training. You have paid to use management jargon. What you have done is tap your core competence, and that you got through your experience as an investment banker and through the work that you put in. So I think you have to acknowledge the fact that your interest, what you're writing about, the base of it is your training, your experience, and the life that you have lived. So you are exploring the world out there in the manner that you are best suited to, that you were trained in. That is something that I think
or rather, what's easiest for me.
Yes, that is because
I don't need research to write about banking, so write about banking. I don't need to go and read 50 books to know about a subject and write about it. So.
Exactly, so that is your strength. That is what you had, without being aware of it. So just think about it.
One big point, on the same
lines, the tyranny of the market, right, forces many people to behave abnormally. So if you, right, if you think about it, that it makes you behave very unnaturally. So you've got a music show where you have manufactured, music bands, all of a sudden becoming very popular. 5 years later, nobody knows who they were because a new person, a new image has been created, right? So, and if one starts succumbing to a market, your own voice, your own creativity becomes victim to that market itself. So if you were to think of yourself as a storyteller, I think all of us have talked about it. There are many ways to tell a story. There is one which is the dabang way, where you start making huge amounts of money and then you're all over the place. There's an Anurag Kashyap style of telling a story where there's enormous amount of technical craft and there's great finesse. In a way, a very popular story is told. And there is perhaps a Satyajit Ray style and there's a Manmohan Desai style, right? The question is, for posterity, if after 30 or 40 years, if you really want your works to have meaning, if that is indeed the goal, then I believe the craft is as important as being, the best-selling writer at a particular point in time, right? The question is, are you still going to be a best-selling writer 20 years from now? Will people still pick up the phone?
I think that's a fair point. I think that's a very fair point in terms of, I think your example of music was a very good example. If you look at world over, writers who have not evolved, writers who have not changed with changing times, are people who have suffered, who have actually been forgotten. So if today you write something which is popular, and tomorrow you don't recognize the changing trends and continue writing the same thing, then what you're saying is absolutely right. Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, and I'm sorry, I think that I'm hogging too much time on this, but after this example, I'll pass it on. My last 5 books have all been in banking. Okay, I've been about financial crime. My next book, which will come out towards the end of this year, is about academia. Okay. It's got a banker in it. It's got a huge chunk, a story about the academia, which is based in the US. It's got a completely different angle to the Reebok scam story built into it. So I'm trying to shift away from this, but not dramatically, testing waters, trying to see if people actually will accept it. So that's what change is all about. You start off in something, you create a market, people like your style, people like your reading, then you try and start experimenting in different genres. Maybe at some point in time, I will bring out the 3 generations of South Indian story as well.
But that's a very NBA-ish style, right?
That works.
Market niche,
But that
an
works.
opportunity.
I'm sorry, that works.
And then brand expansion. No, I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is a very different approach, right? Rather than having it being your own voice, you try and find niches in a market that have not yet been tapped, and then one sort of creates or manufactures. Yes, please.
I do want
What's wrong in it?
what
So that's
he
his
is
voice.
doing. What Ravi is doing, although he's trying to explain it in MBA terms and market and all that, he is doing what he can do best. He is good at that kind of writing, and that's what he's doing. I would not take his talk about marketing and all very seriously. I see a writer there, and I recognize the writer there, and I think that that's what he's doing. And I think it's a generational thing now to talk about yourself as being good at marketing, etc. I mean, it's writing and marketing don't go together.
I disagree. Arun,
And after that, I have something to say.
What I'm saying is when you write, like you very clearly said, that you are writing because that is the thing you want to do. This is the thing I want to say. This is my style of writing. I'm not thinking there's somebody waiting there to read me. After I finish writing, after it is published, I get my readers. And they're not my readers in the sense that I do not know them. I'm not writing for them, but they are there some way. There is somebody who thinks, something strikes a chord in that person in my book. That's my reader. So I don't have to go searching for books. Different methods, but both of us get our readers. It's just different methods, that's all. And I'm not running your methods down at all, absolutely, because it's a generational thing, and